I am your host. What's up, peoples? All right. So we got a great storyteller on the show today, as well as, cause storytelling, music. I mean, it goes hand in hand. And I want to welcome Tempo Tai to the show. It's right, Tempo Tai, right?
Yes, ma'am. I appreciate you having me.
Ah, awesome. So the okay, so tell me about the E, the three.
Yeah. Yeah, it's actually a three. Um, I'm big into anything having meaning, anything I'm attached to. And three is the number of completion, the number of creativity, imagination. So that's definitely something that I attach to myself, and I want to make sure it was, in my name.
Awesome. I knew it had a
Yeah.
meaning because it's a backwards E, three. I'm like, okay, now I gotta ask him about that.
Yeah,
Okay,
for
so let's
sure.
go back a little bit. Let's go back to the beginning of when you maybe knew you were gonna do it, you weren't doing it. How did you kind of get yourself into this?
To be honest with you, I was actually an athlete first, playing sports in high school. I was fortunate enough to go to college for a little while. But for me, my love for music actually started moving around so much. So I'm from Alabama, but every summer I stayed in New York, and I would just travel when I ran track to these different states and different places. So for me, in the summertime, I'd be listening to these hip hop artists like DMX and Nas and Cameron, but then I'd go home and I'd be listening to Wayne, Boosie, Gotti, this Southern movement too. So I think it helped me. It benefited me because it allowed me to kind of have that ear to listen to music and not just a style. And for me, it kind of came, head on where there was a point in my life where I was actually going to court for a while, facing time. And it was one of the situations where I just didn't know how long. I knew I was going. So writing actually became that discipline for me to sit down and kind of get out what I was feeling, what I was thinking. And it was something I wanted to practice when I go in there. So that way I can kind of keep my head right and end up developing after that.
Yeah, yeah. There's so many different people that I've talked to that have been incarcerated, gone in and came out on the top. And there's so
Yeah.
many people that haven't. What was the trick to you coming out on top and doing what you love to do and being successful at it?
Mentality. It was 100% that because I told somebody the other day, I saw guys that had less time than I did, and they would just crack and just break and just lose hope and lose sight and feel like that's the only place they would be. But then I'd see some men that were 20 years in, and they would still wake up every day and pray, clean themselves, eat right, what I'm saying, conduct themselves with respect and move a certain way. So being that I've always been an observer first before I make any moves, I was able to kind of see that and understand that, it was how they carried themselves. So for me, again, the writing was a big deal. Being able to write what I was seeing, being able to kind of translate what I had going on, because I was there by myself, no affiliation. So for me, that pen was that muse for me.
Mm, 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 mm. I
Yeah,
love that. I love that. And, being that positive role model, going through the tribulation that you went through and
yeah,
then coming out on the top, that is not easy. I mean, that can't be easy. It
I
just can't be
appreciate it.
because I mean, it's like it brings your demeanor down automatically and you have to deliberately push it up every day.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, and you have to. I mean, you can learn from it, or you can let it affect you in a negative way. And for me, it allowed me to learn how to deal with people, even when people didn't know how to deal with themselves. Because like you said, there's sometimes guys would be 3 weeks and they're just good, happy-go-lucky, good energy, staying positive, and then one day they just wake up upset because you wake up and see where you're at. So sometimes you would understand and see and like, okay, he's having one of those days, or he's kind of going through that emotion. And it allowed me to kind of realize what I was going through too, because some days, I woke up pissed off, and forgetting that that was just, I was just passing through.
Mm, 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 mm. So, with all of that said, has this affected your storytelling and your writing and your music in any way?
Absolutely. I mean, in hindsight, it's 2020, so I can say it was a blessing in disguise in a way. It calmed me down a lot, but it also gave me a purpose to my writing, to where I'm not just kind of saying random things. I'm going through these experiences, I'm going through these stories, I'm going through these moments, whether it be me living somewhere good and doing okay, or me just remembering where I came from, and it helped me develop the delivery more than anything, because in there, it was like almost a battle kind of atmosphere. So once they found out I could rap, it was like, all right, let's go. I got money on this dude. I got money on light skinned dude. So, once I was able to perform and like really just destroy what I was doing, it gave me that like looking around like, okay, like I can do this for real. Like I'm actually better than average. So that kind of realigned that focus. But there was a lot of people I saw that they didn't have that thing. They didn't have that avenue to kind of distract themselves, if you want to say.
Wow. Wow. Well, I'm just happy that you did, and I'm happy that you're out. What are you doing for for your conscious sake? Are you going back? Are you writing anybody, or are you trying to reach back and pull their spirits back up in any kind of way, or any other the youngsters?
No, absolutely, absolutely. That's a huge thing for me, especially coming in my community because it's so easy to get caught into the system, and especially with these younger guys, whether it be whoever their role model is, they hear the beginning and sometimes they hear the end. So they hear the result of this person getting out and being successful, or they hear the beginning of this person just cutting up and getting this reputation, but they don't think about that middle part of those 5 years to 10 years when you're in a place with no gun and you're by yourself. So for me, that's definitely something I wanted to pass on because, I got to see people really change and be a different way. And to be honest with you, people come home and they're not gonna tell you, oh, I had it hard or oh, it was tough. They were the toughest guy in there every time.
Oh
So,
yeah.
for me, I always, yeah, you know how it is. So I try to break that mold for these younger guys and realize like you don't get no stripes for this. This kills your creativity, it kills your goals, and the world keeps moving. So for me, that's the biggest thing I want to do. And that's actually what my team and I are working on is working on a nonprofit for prison reform, especially in Alabama, with the recidivism rate being so high. We want to make sure that it's an actual rehabilitation center and not just a detention center. Not
Yeah.
just because especially now I saw it too. I saw more drugs and crime there than I ever saw on the street. And I saw people adapt and really get creative to do some of the worst things that they could do, whereas it could have easily been turned around another way had they had some type of avenue. You know what I mean? But that's definitely what I want to do. I want to make it a rehabilitation center instead of a detention center.
Wow. A lot of people on the outside that have never been on the inside, like me. I did scared straight. I was that generation where they did the
Right.
scared straight thing where we went into
Yeah.
prison. I was one of the kids that went in, and I was like, why am I here? Like, I was not a bad kid. I was like the one that never
Yeah.
got in trouble, but they put me in there and I was like scared. Yeah, I was scared straight. I definitely was. If I was on a narrow path or even a tilted path, I was straight that day. I was
Yeah.
but it's sad to see and sad to hear that there are more drugs in than there are out.
100%. 100%. Because I've in between my life, like I said, I've lived in different places. I've lived some good places. I've lived some bad places, and even in the worst places, I never saw as much as what I like. Going in there, my mentality was prepared for some of the things I'd see. Violence, just the main things you hear. But for me to see people, doing drugs of all kinds, and having the tools to use them and do it, man, that I'm not gonna lie to you, that kind of like it really tripped me out to see that because I wasn't expecting that. I'm thinking that we're just doing our time and going home.
And the
So,
biggest thing okay, I don't know if I want to go here, but I'm going to.
all right,
The
I'm with
biggest
you. Come
thing
on.
Okay, the biggest thing I see is that, okay, if it is a rehabilitation center where people have to go in and they're serving their time, but they have the opportunity to maybe go to school, go to college, or do different things. But isn't it like supposed to be like, I don't know, how would I say this? Guarded by guards who keep stuff
Yeah,
that's not supposed to get in out?
yeah, that makes a lot of sense, right? I'm with you on that. No, it's not enough. It's not
Oh
enough.
my gosh.
Overpopulation in prisons is a big issue as well, especially in Alabama. Uh, you have prisons that are 10,000 over the limit, and you have extra beds being pushed in and things like that. And I've seen personally where it's two guards and 300 guys in an open bay area. So what what can really be done, and a lot of times too, respect to these guards, the ones that do right, these guys are trying to go home to their families as well. So there's a
Yeah.
lot of times that they're not going to risk their lives or their safety for one versus 300, 200 people. So yeah, a
Yeah.
lot of times it's but to be honest with you, the survival is respect. It's fully respect. It's showing respect amongst each other, whether you're the biggest guy or the smallest guy. Everybody shows respect because anything can happen at any time. And like I said, I know that's kind of negative, but on the positive side, again, that was a lesson for me to see. I brought that back home with me to where I kind of give that respect in order to receive it.
Yeah, yeah. And then you said it affected your music, your storytelling. Tell me about that.
Yeah, because before, my music, it was what I was going through in that moment. And once I got there, it was like, I see when I went to do my time, I knew the day I was getting out. I knew that in 2 years on this day, I'd be home. There are guys in there that have no idea when they're coming home. So the mindset is completely different. There's no end, there's no finish line. So you see them act in a completely different way. So when I got to know exactly when I was going home, the day I went in, it gave me a different mindset to where I was able to sit back and kind of be calm and kind of see what I had going on. And it, like the example I just gave you with the drugs, it blew my mind to see how much was going on and how fast it was moving. And man, I'm telling you, it looked like when I first went in, it looked like a city. And things were moving so fast and there was so much going on and this and that. And it was just like it was mind blowing. And like you said, there's guards, but nothing's guarded. And but on the negative, on the positive side, I got to hear a lot of stories. I got to speak to a lot of people. Um, I got to hear, a lot of good stories of people changing and growing, and I got to learn those lessons from that. So a lot of times, even if I'm not telling a story in my music, I'm telling a perspective. I'm telling an opinion, or somebody that may not get to tell their story because they're never coming home.
Wow. Wow. That's crazy. So, okay, so what is it? I mean, we could talk about this the entire time because
Right.
that is just so relevant, and it's just such a sad situation for some people that don't even have to be there, or wrongly persecuted, or put in prison, and they didn't even do anything. There's just so many different things we could talk about. But I'm glad you're
Right.
out. And now let's talk about the music that has
Yes,
happened to you
ma'am.
now that you are here and you've had that experience. It's been, to me, I think it had a positive outlook on you
I
because
agree.
you're determined to go after your goal. So tell me about your music.
Yes, ma'am. So yeah, that's been exciting. I mean, ever since I came home, um, I kept my promise to myself, and I've just been consistent, and that's been the biggest thing. I'm a worker. I'm gonna always be making music because I love what I do, and every time I drop something, you see the growth, you see the development, you see the production growing in it, you see the delivery get better. Because for me, even though I know I'm great, I always think I can be better, and I always know I can learn. So the newest release was actually Pushback, and you know, from that fan base starting to develop from the previous singles that I've released, it was actually one of my biggest releases, and it was great to kind of get that feedback and start getting that demand to perform and go places and things.
Awesome. So tell me about the performance. I mean, do you have anything coming up?
As of for this year, we don't, but we're trying to change that because I'm really loving the feedback I'm getting from some of these other cities. Right now, I'm in Florida, but some of these other cities are showing me a lot of love, and I really want to get out there. Oh yeah, okay. I'm in Jacksonville, Florida.
I'm in Sarasota.
Okay, okay, not far at all.
No, no. About what? That's like 4 hours, right? Like
I
about four
think,
hours.
I think,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, 3, 4 hours, depending on the
yes, ma'am.
traffic.
That changes the whole drive.
It does. It changes the entire drive. Yes, it does.
Yes, sir.
Wow. So, okay. So tell me, what is the latest song you have out? Is it on all streaming platforms right now?
Oh, 100%. So all my music is on all streaming platforms from Apple Music, Spotify, Pandora, even Deezer, or whatever it is. It's going to be under the same name of Tempo Tai, T3mpo Tai. The latest release was Pushback. We released that in March. And like I said, I've been getting major love from it. I appreciate everybody on that. And we actually have a new one coming up in a month or so that we're actually getting ready to promote.
And so that means you're coming back?
Absolutely. If you having me, I'm here.
Yes.
All right.
That would be amazing. Thank you so much for being on the show. How can people reach you, follow you? You have
Yes, ma'am.
Instagram or Facebook or anything like that?
Yeah, absolutely. All the above on all major platforms as well as streaming platforms. Like I said, it's one and only Tempo Tai, T3mpo Tai. You'll be the only one you see. I appreciate any follows and love. And of course, you, Yaya. Thank you.
No, thank you. And thank you guys so much for tuning in. We're going to have all that information in the description box below so that you can follow Temple T3. Okay.
Yes,
I have to look
ma'am.
at it. MPOTAI. Okay. But definitely, definitely thank you so much for being here. You're an inspiration. Continue to be an inspiration. and continue to, and I hope and pray that your nonprofit will do some justice because oh my gosh, I had no idea.
Yeah, yeah, it's a lot, but no, we're definitely gonna do some positive. And again, thank you. I'll see you again.
Yes, definitely. And thank you guys so much again. And don't forget to dare to be different. Until next time, guys. Bye.
Yeah.
I dare to be different. 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 I dare. I dare. I dare to be different.